So this, of course, is Lents Park. This parking lot was notorious for all of the horrible problems last year. They weren't chaining it off, and now they come out every night and they lock it up.
Cool.
And before, people were living in it, and so anybody that lived here basically didn't sleep last year. And there was a woman that spoke at the town hall, Patty Ritchie.
Okay.
She lives across the street here, and she's sort of the den mother of Lents Park. I really believe her sort of grassroots letter writing and emailing changed, this. She and another neighbor really worked hard.
What was her name again?
Her name's Patty Ritchie. She spoke at the, she spoke at the town hall. She asked me to read her statement. She was embarrassed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
And she, keeps an eye out on everything. And she's a very compassionate person, too. Really understands, I think, the population. And, she has a lot of compassion, too. She's a really good mix. She's a great person.
Cool.
But, people need help. She's the first one to get them help because she's always sort of walking around the park and keeping an eye on things. And so as you can see, these were not here before.
The signs,
These signs. So pretty much the day after the town hall, Dan Saltzman emailed and said, I want to help Lents. I can do a few things right away. Let me show you this. So these are no parking signs that neighbors actually have put up.
Okay.
After these notices were posted by the city, they made copies and just put them all over because these neighbors had a lot of RV campers. And even after the town hall these last few months, there were a couple RVs parked here with some very notorious characters. One guy was known as the Naked Guy.
Okay.
He would get out and pee and go naked in front of all the kids.
Oh, man.
And those two RVs that were towed here were the first two RVs towed as a result of the new tow policy where they'll tow occupied. So the police came and they got them. That was about a month ago.
That's a change from
That's
before.
a change from before. You could do it if it was a really, really horrible hazard.
Mm-hmm.
They had done it in Lents, but maybe like twice in a year.
Okay.
If it was occupied. Otherwise, they would just give them the warnings, tell them they needed to move on with the threat of towing, but they wouldn't really follow through if it was occupied. Now, if they had left for the day and weren't in it, they would tow it.
Okay, well.
But if someone was in there, they weren't doing that. So.
Do you know what the change is? Is it like if someone's convicted of something, or is it just suspicion?
It has to be a biohazards, leaking a neighborhood quality. So this guy doing this in front of the kids. The other one had every window smashed out, was leaking a lot of fluid, garbage everywhere, needles.
Okay.
You might have seen the thing in the Oregonian with the two guys in front of the lady's house. They were from somewhere like California, and they are building a house, and they have this RV, and they were all smart Alex to her, and they're going to tow them occupied. That was but they, it was media. So
that was the guy who had warrants, I think.
Yeah, he had warrants too. Most of the people do. Around here, at least, when they go out there, they find a lot of warrants. So
that's always my question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's like if I get pulled over, if I even get stopped and talk to a police officer, even if I'm the complainant, they're going to ID me.
Warrant check you.
Yeah, and I think that's a little invasive, but I wonder where that line is.
Yeah, they claim it's like their house, so they're not going to check for warrants, but they do. They do if they have probable cause, they can. So So as you can see, it's clear.
Yeah.
And from the video, you'll remember it was a nightmare. It sometimes looked like a KOA park. It was like, whoa. And none of the people that lived here, and they had the little signs on this end, no parking overnight, but they really needed the big signs. So, you get people during the day that, might be houseless or whatever, and it's cool, they leave.
Yeah, they sleep in the shade.
And when we've had some problems with people not obeying the signs, we call the rangers and we let them know. So it's pretty clear right now.
So people are sleeping overnight. You call that in, or?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do, yeah. And they tell them, there's been people that have left cars and RVs in the no overnight zones, and they'll tow them, but you do have to report it, and it takes a couple of weeks. It's not any quick process by any means. So I'm going to take you by some of the hot spots, and then I'm going to take you by some places that really have not been addressed.
Okay.
And that we're seeing probably just as worse as ever, and we're not getting any response anymore from the city. It sort of died, you know.
Weird.
Yeah, because at first we were getting, immediately emails every day. We want to help you. Where can we have a safety quarter? We want kids to be safe. I mean, all of the commissioners, people, that they were emailing the livability committee. We want to help. This is a crisis, and it sort of died down. Let's put it that way. They don't answer anymore, when you try to follow up. This has always been a really bad spot, and the city just came out and put rocks down and signs up. We have people, and I call that old guy, that live here.
Okay.
But 2 weeks ago, there were 40 people here.
Okay, this is where we at?
This is 82nd and Inslee.
82nd and Inslee.
This showed up last night. This van's been here about 2 years.
Are they towed here, or are they just driven here, those big RVs?
They're usually towed.
Okay.
They usually don't run. I did an interview with Willamette Week. They're doing an article on RVs and this new policy. And the person that interviewed me, he comes from a place of, these are displaced people. He didn't understand that. He didn't understand that most of them don't run. They're very dangerous. He didn't know what a ghost or a zombie RV was. They tow these things with a rope through the streets. They hit cars. It's really super sketchy.
Yeah.
Most of them don't have license plates. They don't have insurance. They have nowhere to dump the waste. They're really a menace.
Right. Huh.
And the other thing that we have in Lents, and I was telling them about it with the RVs, we have squatters. So let's say somebody had one and they went to jail, or they just said, I don't want to deal with this thing anymore. It happens. Or they sell it for whatever. And they just sort of abandon it on your street, and they're not using it. Well, as soon as you call it in and they tag it, squatters see that it's got a green tag and it must not be occupied, and they move in. And then they can't tow it because there's squatters in there. And then say you have these people, and that's what happened with the one that they finally towed over by the park. Those were squatters. They didn't own that thing. They were different people than who towed it there in the first place. So you kind of have to be alert so you can let them know and really advocate and write to the police and say, these aren't even the people that own it. So by the high school has been a really, really horrible camping area. I think you remember me talking about that probably at the town hall. So this is the back entrance to Marshall High School. It's being used by Franklin High School. There's a lot of sketchy stuff going on right here. This has been here about a month. This camp.
This RV or this camp, okay.
Yeah, these people. The cops were here last night. Wow. Got a good shot of her ass. So let me show you this too. So this is the entrance to the school. So the kids get off the bus right here and they have to walk by this. Here's a camp. So these people just kind of set up. Now, God forbid you, what?
It's like a yard sale.
It's all probably stolen. I gotta get a picture of that.
Got a bunch of skis.
Holy cow. Should we ask them what they're selling? I'm gonna ask them. Let's turn around. See, this is the kind of stuff that pop up everywhere around here. And it pisses me off because it's so close to a school.
Marshall is a couple blocks over?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's right there.
Oh, it's right there, okay.
It's not even, yeah, it's just right there. And it's going to be Grant High School. So are they selling this stuff?
Everything must go. Sale.
Huh.
3 bikes and a bunch of skis and tools. A couple wakeboards, a couple skateboards, helmets. Wow.
No bueno. This thing's been here for like 2 months. And see, they don't have license plates. So it makes it really hard to report.
Right.
Okay, well, this is getting a call to action tomorrow.
So you call...
I do a call to action on Lents residents. This one too, I saw these people, they're bike shopping and they don't have plates. They did have a Washington plate that got torn in half. They last registered in 2014. That's a no parking zone.
Okay.
They've been here since yesterday. This person, I believe, is affiliated with this house, so I'm not tripping on that. So there's a school right there.
Okay.
And this is that zombie house that was in our town hall video where the kids from the school were going and hanging out and the roof's caving in. The city said they were going to fence these places. They didn't. They fenced one zombie house by the park. I forgot to point that out to you. I will on the way back because it's on 88. Now this is where Dennis was. Dennis is the infamous
right, I think I remember
white supremacist camper guy. He's still around. He was over on 78th and Powell. He has an RV now. His camp was notorious because last summer he had taken over this whole field. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was just filled with camps. Then he moved, when we did a rally, he moved right here where they put these rocks down. So the city, has tried to really, they're doing preventative measures. This street is like a zillion times better. Dennis was staying in this house. Speculators bought it and they really fixed it up. They're from LA.
Okay.
They paid $3,000 for that.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yes.
That's nuts.
I know. $3,000. And people like last year were camping in here. And so, there's been a lot of improvement.
Yeah.
It seems like most of our issues are with these RVs and car camping. Just kind of taking over the roads. But then I'm going to show you the multi-jurisdictional nightmare.
That's, okay, yeah. The one by the, what is it, the Max line?
Uh-huh.
What's on the other side of this fence?
This was a field, it was called Kumar Field. It was owned by the Kumar family who own a lot of hotels in Portland. And it's a field, and it wasn't fenced all the years they owned it, and it had always had people camping, but then last summer when I did the Oregonian story, it had maybe 100 people living there.
Oh, wow.
In like 3 hours we were there with the reporter. There were 160 drug buys.
Wow.
Dennis was shooting up on camera for the reporter. Yeah. It was crazy. It was like this anarchy, and I was going to the school and trying to get them on, what can the school do? How can these parents let their kids walk by here? It was crazy. And that's where a lot of the biohazard pictures I had came from, was this field.
Wow, that was last summer, you said? Okay.
And then a month ago, when school was still in session, one of the RVs burst into flames, and that right where that one I just showed you in the no parking zone. At 6:30, if it had done it an hour later, some kid would have got hurt. It blew up. I have pictures of it. And it was so hot, it melted all the telephone wires, cable wires.
Wow, yeah.
And everybody in the neighborhood was without cable and phone for over 3 days. From an RV blowing up. And I'd been calling on that RV, no plates, of course. I don't know what they were doing in there.
This RV was where?
It was where that one I just showed you.
Okay.
Yeah, it just completely disintegrated and it blew up. The guy jumped out of it. He was fine. But if somebody had been walking by, luckily it happened at 6:30 a.m. instead of 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
School was starting. But see, that's why I want this stuff away from the school,
Right. And this DMV is still open, or did they move it?
No, they just remodeled it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
will open again.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's open now.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just working on it. But so this whole field was camps. This whole cul-de-sac
field. Okay.
was tents. Yeah.
This is Powell and.
This is Powell and like 90th. Yeah.
Okay. So when you talk about these action alerts, how do you do that?
Okay, so I have a page called Lents Residents, and it's a reporting page.
Is that Facebook?
So,
Okay.
So I basically we do a call to action and we ask people to report, and we sort of guide people through the reporting process. Like, here's a link to one point of contact. Here's a link. Here's who you want to email. This is a link to ODOT. These are the people you need to contact and tell them this is out of control. And so we do a call to action. The police might be involved, and we ask people to send in photos to, I might include photos, and then we have people in numbers do this. And if somebody has an issue in front of their house, we want to support them.
Yeah.
So I think it helps people not feel so powerless. If it's just them, maybe they don't know how to report, so they'll come on there and they'll say, what do I do?
Yeah.
We tell them this is what you do. Okay, so the MUP starts, that's the multi-use path, often confused with Springwater Corridor, two different things.
Okay, yeah.
The MUP is a bike path, some people call it, which is also what they call Springwater. The MUP runs all along 205,
Yep.
but in Portland, City of Portland Police patrol 205 MUPs, okay? It's not state police, although it's ODOT property. And this is where you get into the fighting between police not wanting to enforce camping bans for ODOT because it's ODOT property and they want the landlord, ODOT, to be on site to trespass them.
Okay.
So there's some camps, quite a few set up right there.
How does that work? Like a ODOT employee would have to be here?
Yep.
Is that what they want? Okay.
Yep. So there's, I don't know, maybe 4 camps right there. These camps are particularly hard to deal with because they often broke all the trees down. There's been a lot of fires in this area because it's real dry.
Yeah, that's it.
And we had a fire on Thursday. I'll show you where that was. So the MUP, which is right by people's houses, is not very well patrolled, and that was a big issue because I'm going to take you down. The MUP has to be utilized for kids in West Lents to get to school in East Lents.
So there's like a bridge?
There is a
Okay,
bridge.
I remember you guys talking about that.
And it's just gross right now. It's full of garbage, and rotting food bank garbage. Camps are on both sides of the bridge. They've cut into the fences. They overlook the school playground. It's really bad. And ODOT is still doing, it takes 6 weeks for them to come out, post it. You've probably read about the lady who's been called the mayor and the governor. She's not in Lents, but they keep saying she is. She's over in Powellhurst. The camps are back at her house. She lives right behind the MUP. It's been in like the Oregonian and all the news stations. It's not Lents.
Okay, huh.
I've told Maggie Vespa over and over again it's not Lents. It's wrong. It doesn't matter. I feel for this woman, but it's also misidentifying a location.
Right.
Because if it was in Lents, so we don't have, they had a meeting right after the town hall with ODOT to try to come up with some planning. Nothing was hammered out. They've been meeting now as a result, I think monthly.
Okay.
They are coming to some better agreements, but they're still not there. ODOT is going to dedicate more money to cleaning camps more quickly and posting them.
So these meetings are between ODOT and who?
And the city.
And the city, okay.
Hey, these people just arrived. These campers. So now you have just entire streets taken over by camping. This is somebody that just sold that house, so it's empty.
Okay. Just an air conditioner and a box of stuff.
Well, this is pretty out of control.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here you have an abandoned camp up there, it looks like, and they broke the tree. Shoot. They caught this on fire.
It's a car that's tagged. It looks like.
Yeah, they ripped it off.
They
never came back. It got tagged months ago. This is where the fire happened.
Oh wow.
It jumped. It was on the other side of the freeway. It burned all those trees.
And there was a tent there that caught on fire, or
there were people there. I don't know if there was a tent. The people were sitting right there. I think it was those people.
It's like probably like what, 30 feet wide of just burnt earth.
It went all the way down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so even further.
Yeah, it goes down that way.
So like wow.
And this is an apartment where a lot of kids live, and it's dangerous. It's not meant to be camped on. And it's interesting. I saw them on a villa.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
Well,
what is your thoughts on that?
Well, you don't have this in Montevilla, and if you did, I don't think your board would be feeling the same way. You know, where people are lighting fires and stealing from all the neighbors and selling it on the corner, leaving, you know, kids can't get to school. You know, I've driven through Montevilla. You don't have all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. It's easy for you to say, sweeps are terrible. You know, you're NIMBYs when you don't have it in your backyard. And you don't have that frame of reference. Shoot, if I had as many homeless people as y'all do in Montevilla, I'd be like, sweeps are bad too. You know? Where are they going to go? But this is horrible for people that live here, and it's horrible for the people that are camping there. I mean, they probably lit themselves on fire.
And you'll get out and talk to them and talking about options and services.
I do. I told them. Looks like that camp got abandoned. Okay. So there were a lot of camps right here the other day. This car's been here for a long time. And after the town hall, the police came and ran warrants along them up.
Oh, okay.
There was a big incident with a pit bull attacking another dog and a lady at a camp, and come to find out that pit bull had already attacked, and someone illegally got him out of impound and gave him back to the homeless owner. An advocate did this.
Oh, wow.
The dog attacked, and then the cops had to go out, and there were, I think, 30 campers in this site, which I'm going to take you to, and they ran warrants that day. 18 people had felony warrants out of that group.
Wow.
Many were sex offenders. And then there was some sort of conflict with ODOT once again, and they didn't want, you know, Portland going out there. I don't know. It's all wrapped up with the Anderson Agreement and, you know, the infighting. Portland doesn't have the resources to enforce property owner laws. They feel ODOT should step up and have their own people out there, you know. Mm-hmm. I do too. I think they should have a state police officer that patrols it and trespasses people.
When was this felony check? Or not felony check, but warrant check.
It was around April, I want to say around the 18th of April.
Okay.
Somewhere in mid to late April, I believe.
So was the MUP, and where was it? Where at?
I'm going to show you.
Okay, cool.
I just want to show you. So this is the footbridge to the school. And there's camps right along next to it, you see.
Yep.
And there's a lot of biohazards at this camp. I met ODOT here 2 weeks ago yesterday to take a walk. These camps have grown. The trash has grown. They had a block party here yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Big pile of wood. That's kind of cool.
There were camps here, they're gone now, but you can see all the garbage. It's just like terrible.
1, 2, 3, 4 tons.
There were probably 10 here on Friday. I think the cops came. So if you go over the footbridge, it's just full of garbage. And I walked with ODOT, and they pointed it out to me. On the other side, there's fencing. They had taken bolt cutters. They'd gone in the fence, and there's a huge camp on the other side of the footbridge overlooking the school.
Huh.
So they said, we'll get on it, and we're busy, we're cleaning I-5, you know. Now this was, we want a safety corridor. You can't camp in the school zone.
Right, that was a request.
That was a request, and they're working on it, and we'll take it back, you know. They're always in negotiations, so they just can't seem to agree on, you know, who's responsible for what, and money, and so ODOT says they're trying to get more crews and address things in a quicker manner. Now you remember the cul-de-sac with the families that were being tormented by people in their backyards. They were the immigrant families.
The African family,
Yeah, and the Honduran family. So they, I'll show you where they live. We have had nothing but problems in that cul-de-sac. But we do a call to action as soon as people set up there, and we've had like huge 30 people tent with tents set up there. They 24-hour post that. ODOT, for some reason, I don't know if they said that particular spot with the mayor. I don't know. That always gets addressed within 24 hours.
That one location?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the school doesn't.
Yeah, weird.
But that location does. This is the farmer's
market.
Mm-hmm.
Looking good.
Yeah. So that location's very, very clear right now, which I'll take you by, and then I'm going to take you by the bad locations that we're having problems with. Other than, you know, the school, and that's mainly camping, you know, in vehicles. And so this is the town center coming together, you know.
What are all these?
So
it's all PVC stuff?
Yeah, so it's going to be retail on the bottom, housing on the top. Not sure who the anchor stores are going to be. Someone posted yesterday it might be People's Co-op is a big grocer that is doing surveys.
Okay.
I would love it. You know, I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah, would they keep their old location? Is that the plan, or do we know?
I think they're trying to expand maybe.
Yeah.
They were just doing initial surveys. Do we want that? So this is a big change. Now, this is TriMet property.
It's like rocks, so people can't camp there anymore. Okay.
Yeah, that was the result of a lot of contact with TriMet.
Yeah.
But they have a really wonderful security guy. I got to give him a shout out, Clay Thompson. He tries. You know, you get to know people that really, really try, you know, and then people that just completely ignore you.
Right.
So he's a good guy, you know, and I think he also is compassionate too, you know, understands the broad scope of people's problems. But this was Tent City. ODOT has since put the rocks and they're doing all the landscaping. They're not done. This is the cul-de-sac. Somebody lives here. So the cul-de-sac, just so you could visually kind of see what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Looks really great right now today. Last week it had people.
Huh.
You know, but they came right away and they cleared it and so Springwater Corridor, you know, bumps up to, this is called the Triangle neighborhood. You know, like they call it the Bermuda Triangle. Lents is big.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And, you know, it's so different in, you know, different neighborhoods. These neighbors here that were the most patient people. Just wonderful people. This guy right here, he always has camps up against his house. He is the most good-natured guy. Okay, so we're, you know, trying to help our neighbors here get maybe a community garden back here is the plan.
Space, yeah.
And they've put up, so this is the cul-de-sac.
It's really close. There's always a guy there.
Yeah, we know these guys. They're not going to leave. We'd like to see this be a community garden. They have the no camping signs posted. The neighbors do. The orange fencing, we put up.
Okay. Yeah. This is where the African family and the Honduran family lived? Okay.
Yeah. Now these guys, they've actually are real helpful to us. They try to keep the cul-de-sac clean, and they have an investment here. They've been here 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you have people that have camped here and are members of our community, and they suffered when there were 50, people from Des Moines camped. Do you know what I mean? They're like, who are you? This has been my corner for 7 years, and now you're coming from some other place. There was a lot of that, in Lents, unfortunately. Wow, yeah. And like I said, we don't want to make it so there's never any home. That's not going to happen. There's going to be homeless people. We just can't be responsible for the majority of homeless people.
Right.
Spread it around a little bit, It's better in that regard, the equity, it is more spread out throughout the city, but if you still look at campsite reports, you will see areas of Portland that don't have any.
Yeah.
Alberta, all those areas, for some reason, they don't have any problems.
Huh.
There's the bubble guy. He's a Lents icon.
Nice.
Okay, so,
have you had any success encouraging people to get off the streets or get into shelters or options?
We try every time we talk to people.
Yeah. Is it available? People say the shelters are full.
Yeah. Well, we have like treatment options. Now, I can't really pull down here. Because it's super sketchy.
Okay.
Oh, it got cleared out. The police must have came. Okay, so
2 abandoned cars, looks like.
There's a guy sitting right here. So this was full of camps right here at the end of the cul-de-sac and RVs. It looks like they cleared it out this weekend. So as far as resources, we always try to encourage people, have you heard about VOA? Have you heard about Adult Challenge? That's right in Lents.
What are those?
So Adult Challenge is an inpatient year-long drug and alcohol program. They do take Medicaid, so they can help you with detox and get you in, they are faith-based but non-denominational, like a lot of 12-step programs. They do a lot in Lents as far as they run a thrift store on 82nd, and so anybody in the program works there.
Oh, cool. I think I've been in there, yeah.
And they've been a really strong partner to us, just in neighborhood cleanups, and we want to do a community garden, and they're really, yes, we'll be involved. Our guys want to help. So in the winter, when you think it'd be full, they have 30 beds. They're opening up a 30-bed facility for women. I think it might be open in the next 2 weeks in North Portland. So they have 30 beds. It's a year-long commitment. It's housing. You live in their apartments. Doesn't cost anything. And they had the 30 beds, and they had 17 openings, I believe,
right now.
Back in February, March. It was filling up more in the summer, oddly enough, but they usually always have some beds available. Everybody always says, we know about them. I'm going to go, and there's VOA, Volunteers of America has a very good program. There is, and these are drug treatment places. You can just offer people help. Help people get Social Security. Try to link them up with Join or other outreach type people. for 7 years. She really needs glasses. We're trying to hook her up with getting some support. And this is where it's maddening with like these advocate people who come out and bring people, breakfast burritos and tell you not to sweep them, but then never come out and do any sort of like, what are we going to do to help you get out of this?
Yeah.
This is not, you're existing, you're not living. This is not, you're going to freeze, you're going to be too hot in the summertime, you don't have a place to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So it's just maddening because they don't have anybody out here doing, sort of resource. We have an opioid epidemic, Here it seems like it's a mixture of meth, opioids, opiates.
So there's 3 different buildings going up right here at...
Yeah, and there's one back there too, the Asian
4.
Health Center. Yeah, there's
92nd and
4.
Foster. Wow, okay.
Yeah. It's going to be unrecognizable.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, gentrification.
But it's all city. It's kind of city pushed. Or city
It
funded.
is, yeah. It's going to be just completely different, though. And they're going to redo all the roads, too, all the way from 92nd to 52nd on Foster. It's going to be down to 1 lane. And so you're going to see the whole neighborhood change.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Adult and Teen Challenge right here. So it's right in the heart of Lents.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of the guys right now. So
what do they do?
They just do community projects and, run the thrift stores. And so we could get out and I could walk you through a camp. Do you want to do
Sure.
that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I'm going to drive up first and then we'll walk. We'll park and take a walk. I'm trying to think of where I should go in at. So 94th and Duke is where they serve all those warrants on the map.
Okay. Huh.
But they haven't really been back doing that. And I made this suggestion that they patrol during school, before and after school, and they were out there on ATVs. But when school ended, they stopped. There's spring water.
Yeah, there was a pretty big request for more community policing, getting out of their patrol cars. Have you seen any of that?
I haven't really.
Okay.
Just with the ATVs, holy cow. What? Did you see that?
Yeah, it's a huge tarp.
What? Okay, so this is the spot where, walk into the Mack Station and people really, really having a hard time accessing it because it's on the path. And this is just a huge trouble spot. I don't know what they can do, but part of the thing is we have a thing called Operation Night Watch. There's a long history with them. They come out to that location in an RV and they close off the street and they have events, and it draws people, I think, to the area.
What sort of events?
Well, they feed them on Friday night in this cul-de-sac. So, holy cow! Oh, they're doing something right now. That looks like a mess hall or something.
Wow, yeah.
And they have garbage cans and wow.
Might be getting some rainbow gathering overflow. You can see that.
I don't know, but they're doing some sort of, and I think part of what's going on here is Clackamas Service Center burned down. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. Recently?
On Monday.
Wow.
I think these are all Clackamas Service Center people that they are bringing it out to them along the bike path in the Springwater corridor.
What happened to the service center?
Somebody, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But it lit on fire.
Huh.
It's dust. But unfortunately, they're coming into Multnomah County to do this. It's why aren't they in Clackamas County? And that's the question we have. Why you're supposed to be serving your community, but you don't allow camping in your community. So you encourage people to come into our community, and then you bring them all this stuff. And so so they're encouraged to stay here and sleep in the creek. And do you see what I'm wearing?
That's strange, yeah.
Yeah, it's Clackamas County. They don't allow any of this stuff. So they come to our county and do it. And it's almost like they don't talk to the neighbors. They don't have any buy-in from us. They're encouraging people to stay here on the trail.
Which might be serving Clackamas County.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
So it caught on fire, which makes this even worse because now looks like they're doing all their outreach here. So we need to go up to Springwater. There's, so that's new, those tents. They'll do a sweep in this general area, and the next week they're just back like that, I'm going to park right here, and then we'll go walk where it meets the freeway and the... Hopefully it's not too hot. As I hold up traffic. Do you ever ride on Springwater? Or?
I do. I haven't done much this year, but I like to get out and run around on it.
Okay, so we'll just park right here and take a little walk. So, it's nothing like it was last year, as you can see.
Yeah.
There's camps here and there along the MUP. That seems to be the biggest problem. And by the school, those are our two...
I think it raised a lot of awareness in that sense, but it's almost, the police are going to work based on complaints.
It's a complaint-driven system.
Yeah. It might encourage the need for a better solution because it's not a solution.
They were very inclusive.
That's true.
As a community. I feel like it was like a core group of people very influenced by people like Vahid Brown.
Right.
Having meetings with him and not doing outreach to the community at large. And I feel that there's a lot of people in Montevilla that were also experiencing a lot of quality of life issues, and they were in complete shock that this was done, and they didn't know about it.
There wasn't that kind of buy-in. I think.
Were sort of chastising people,
right.
and well, you should go to a meeting, or this is what we want to do, and I feel there's a better way to validate people's feelings.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
Not treat people like they're just children and their opinion shouldn't be respected.
Right. I think they could handle that better. And there's been a lot of blowback. Like somebody went to one of the board members' house and a lot of angry threats and it wasn't helpful
done
at all.
Right. And I think it's sad. that there wasn't more opportunity for dialogue instead of just
we're doing this.
Not everybody agrees with us reporting camps either.
Yeah.
But I have to then just say, listen, we need to listen to these people these immigrants that have camps in front of their houses.
Yeah.
I think if Johnny and Benjamin heard their stories, they might have a different take on sweeps.
Yeah. I think they're pretty set in their ideals.
Well, go talk to these people these immigrant families being victimized. There's tents back here.
Right. And then there's this whole question about what is the neighborhood association anyway? It's it's a nonprofit, and it's they're elected by their members, but
yeah, they don't hold a lot of power.
Yeah, it's just an interesting.
You're a volunteer.
Yeah, I think
mean,
they're like, oh, there's nothing democratic about this. Somebody wrote that. One of the board members wrote that. Oh, this isn't about democracy.
well, it is actually.
I'm like, yeah, I think because you're on the Lents board.
Yeah, you're a volunteer. People elect you, and you really need to be representing your neighborhood and what people want. But I'm not going to be on the board for much longer probably. But there's.
And their response is, oh, we represent the homeless neighbors as well as the house neighbors.
So do I.
Yeah, I feel that, and that's why I enjoy your perspective.
I just think there's a much better way to do it to be inclusive of everybody.
Yeah,
I just
think
don't
so
think they have the same frame of reference as we do.
It's a different
I
scale
listened to her
problem.
think out loud, and she didn't know anything about Anderson. She didn't know. She had all this false belief that people's belongings are being taken, and not true. Without warning.
Because they have to.
It's completely wrong.
Yeah, because they have to keep the stuff for what, a week or so?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. They get a 9-day posting on this property, and then 90 days.
90 days. Yeah. Okay.
Not one person has claimed. Not once.
Yeah.
So.
It just hangs out. Yeah.
Right.
And then it gets dumped.
So.
Wow, this is like tent after tent after tent.
Yeah. So. Hi. Hello. So we haven't solved the problem.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Now, fortunately, this isn't behind anybody's house, but there are times when you cannot safely walk this if you're a woman trying to get to the Mack Station.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. This is it. So this is the MUP.
This is the MUP.
Yeah.
SODOT. They're supposedly coming out this week, but they'll just move to another part of the MUP.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just constant. They come and they sweep They just come and they sweep and. Wow, it's pretty bad right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people set up. I don't know, solution-wise, I feel like maybe Right to Dream's got have you ever been over there? Have you talked to them at all? Right to Dream too?
I haven't been to the new Right to Dream. I've been to the old Right to Dream.
Yeah. That's fine.
But the problem is these people these are really, really entrenched camps in this part of Lents.
Yeah.
And people that are very, involved in addiction and things like that. A lot of folks are not going to want to go to a place that even has a little bit of rules.
I think that's true, and
yeah. So.
But I think there's got to be some rules at some point,
right. I mean, or it's anarchy. So.
Yeah.
We'll walk back, but this is so the red tape. That's from an old posting from ODOT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is all ODOT.
It's all
no,
ODOT.
Yeah. This is ODOT.
Yeah. So. Shoot, I left my phone in the car. Can't take pictures.
Yeah.
I locked it.
Yeah.
So. But yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do a count.
Yeah, if you don't have to have rules, why have rules?
I know.
But if you're kind of forced to have rules, then you deal with rules or you move on, I guess.
Yeah.
You ever been to a rainbow gathering?
I haven't.
Kind of. I feel like a lot of the setups remind me of the Rainbow Gatherings, like tarps and...
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of the same people will end up there or come to the city for a while and then go to the gathering, back and forth. But it kind of works, it's kind of a community enforced, set of standards.
Right.
Fuck the police and chalk.
Okay, so there's about 35.
35, tents or tarps. Keeps going over here.
36. So, there's none past there. So we have people that live right here, and they say what's happening is, and I'll show you. We'll drive through. The drug dealers have a street access part to drop off.
Oh, okay.
So the police have been out all week. This has just grown in the past week. This wasn't here like a week and a half ago.
Okay, huh.
I know it looks like it's been here a long time, but
yeah, it does.
I don't know where all the stuff comes from,
Yeah. Yep.
But you don't. Wow, I didn't realize how bad it was till you kind of walk through it.
Yeah, it's a lot of folk.
And just people so down on their luck, you sit just depressing.
Yeah.
I hope the dogs are okay.
They looked, I don't know, they looked okay.
Pregnant.
Didn't seem too skinny or too dehydrated.
It's just too hot.
Yeah, they're just sitting in the sitting in the sun.
Sitting in the sun. She's pregnant and it looks hot.
Yeah. This is beautiful. No, it's like.
Yeah. So, I would say there's probably about 40. Oh, now, okay, so here's a tent on spring water. Those get cleared right away.
Yeah.
You call the ranger, or you let Lucas Hillier know. He gets out here immediately. Same week.
He's like with the city. He's with the
one point of contact.
Okay.
He's been wonderful. There was some history there with Lents, but he's been so responsive.
Cool.
A huge ally, a huge resource, also a person of great compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes too compassionate because you're like, this is crazy. Just give it time.
Yeah. And he releases every week, all the
Campsite
reports.
reports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that? Is that posted on the
The
site?
one point of contact site.
Okay.
Just you can Google it.
I know where that's
at.
at. Okay.
On our site every week, but
I didn't see the report. I saw where you could report stuff, but I didn't see.
There's a full report.
Full report on every week. Okay, interesting.
How many locations? It's on Springwater. Shows everything.
Okay, cool.
So I believe it's pretty clear from 92nd to 82nd. We haven't had a lot of problems down that way.
Okay.
It's just the muck. Just right here.
Yeah.
Well, it's worse than I thought it was. I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah, wow.
See, that's the other thing in Lents. We have a lot of the white supremacist prison type gangs that camp out.
Yeah, they get out of prison and they're all...
And so, and that's the other thing that I would ask, like, Benjamin, are you really going to defend people that do that and, like, berate immigrants and call them names and they're just a bunch of white dudes doing this? I mean, do you know what I mean? Like...
Fair question, yeah. Who
has more privilege, just by being a white male, houseless, or some immigrant woman? Just because I would say the guy, because he thinks it's so perfectly okay to use her backyard to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's entitlement, and that's what I was saying to the Willamette Week guy. He's like, well, they can't be entitled. They're home. Bullshit.
Well,
that's way more. That's entitlement. If you think you could go into this lady's yard and tell her to fuck off, your English sucks, and shoot up in her yard and take a shit, that's entitlement.
Yeah.
And that's knowing the cops won't do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, being on property that's not your own is.
And they don't care.
Entitled.
They're like, what are you going to do about it? So I'll bring you back to the park. But
who was a reporter from the Willamette Week?
Thatcher.
Okay, so
so he's pretty pro. This is the take I have. So I hope it's a balanced, I always try to, tell people I'm not just this crazy woman that hates homeless people.
Right.
That street has been really bad, but it's cleared up. That's where the Operation Night Watch RVs that go out with the Clackamas Service Center park. So yeah, I mean, you've seen the hot spots.
Yeah, okay.
We've pretty much driven all over Lents. There's some RVs on that street, but just two or three.
I kind of went to the article that I did and just like, with the meeting, pulled out all the promises, and then I went back to the article to see how the promises were done. So they were saying something about the unarmed police officers. Did that?
We haven't had that now.
Okay.
That was put in the budget and approved.
All right.
But that was June, right? Early June.
Early June, okay.
So I'm not sure. Fiscal year is usually July, right? So you would think you'd see it soon.
Okay. Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah.
The safety stuff around the school at first, they said they were going to really work on that. That's fallen by the wayside a bit. The ODOT, the multi-jurisdictional challenges, that is still paramount, as you can see.
Yeah.
That has not. The spring water has some camping and occupation. They promised more rangers. Do you remember that?
Yeah, totally.
That was approved. So now they have 4 instead of 2. But we haven't really seen the results of that yet either. That's probably this new fiscal year. So it's slow, but it's also summer. So you're going to have people coming here to camp from other places. And, it's to be expected.
What about the reporting of zombie houses? That was another thing.
The zombie houses. I should show you a couple of the zombie houses.
You said one was fenced?
Yeah, there's 2 right by the park. They catch fire, which is real dangerous. So the ones that we highlighted, they did immediately, David Austin, who works for Udaley's office, said that they were really wanting to make sure that that was taken care of. And as you know, she didn't make a real good impression at the town hall. Right. And Dan McElliott, who spoke about zombie houses on the livability committee, he was Irish. I don't know if you remember Dan. He's sort of been in charge of that on our committee, and so he has taken a lot of polls and interviewed people on various social media sites and said, where do you have houses that are causing problems? He's collected all the addresses, and he follows up probably every month with them.
Cool.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, in fact, I should probably talk to him this week. and see where he's at. So a couple of other, before I circle back and drop you off, a couple other zombie houses that were recently sort of, now these were at Charlie Hales, did a big press conference here May of 16 in Lents, that he was going to do something about all our zombie houses. He did nothing, of course. And he spoke in front of this one down here I'm going to take you to. It was down here. And nothing ever happened. And
so these are mainly squatters. They're open for squatters?
They are, and then they catch on fire usually. Like the one by the school has a roof falling in. You know, the school is interesting because it's going to host Grant High School for the next 2 or 3 years while they remodeled Grant, which it had hosted Franklin. Now they all get to go back to Franklin. And these are going to be kids coming on Max and coming from all across town to, you know, an area that has quite a lot of stuff going on around it. I wouldn't be comfortable having my kid walk through there necessarily. So, I really hope they get something done before school starts over there. That's going to be a Peabody thing. So, the two zombie houses are right across from each other on Holgate here. And the ones that are in the media all the time. This one caught on fire about a week ago.
Okay.
The city did fence this one.
That
or
seems
somebody
like a pretty
did.
easy fix, like just fence it off. But
so this one in here is one that caught on fire. Do you see the roof?
Yeah.
So that's a zombie house, and people just break in, and it just blew up.
Yeah.
But it's so close to just like a regular neighborhood.
Yeah.
Cute little houses, and they're all well taken care of. Oh, there's a mystery machine.
That's cool.
I used to live by my mom. So let me turn around.
Okay.
Maybe I'll swing back right this way, next street. So yeah, that was something that they were going to look into. Can you think of any more?
Another promise was shelter beds, like building number of shelter beds. I don't know if that's happened.
They always say they haven't done any more like outreach or RAP services from what I can see at all.
What is RAP services?
Like, going out and offering social services, drug help, mental health.
It's like a holistic offer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a really, really good documentary called Knocking on... God, I can't think of it. It's Como and Seattle did it. It's about homelessness and the opiate problem in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And it just came out. It's about an hour-long documentary reporting. I'll try to send it to you in a link.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
And what Seattle's doing is way more outreach. Like, they go out as a team with a cop and a probation officer and a social worker. And they're like, you're violating your probation. Are you ready to go into drug treatment? I have a bed. Let's go. They go out in a van. We don't have that. We have cleanups. And we have people from churches and places like Clackamas Service Center and faith-based organizations and poverty homes that make money off tiny houses and people like that with an agenda that are not social workers. Do you know what I mean? That are not trained in any way to be dealing with this. So that's one zombie house that caught on fire.
Yeah.
And then this is the other one. And
97th and Holgate, right across the street from each other.
And you know what? I don't think this is city fencing. Because it's a rent-a-fence, and I don't think that's city. So I don't think they fenced this. But this is where Charlie Hales was. So I'm not sure why these houses... I mean, they've been here forever. And there used to be kind of an infamous landlord, Oscar Hess, that owned a lot of the properties in here, and he would rent to a lot of parolees. But if you look on any like police incident reports, this is like a major little spot. So you get used to it. Now that they have the little PPB incident map, have you become familiar with that?
I haven't seen that. I should check it out though.
You can, and you can just Google PPB incident map, and it will like be a map, and you can like expand, and it'll show you where all the calls have been.
Oh, nice.
Now, oddly enough, there's a lot of calls that aren't mapped on there, like that I've made, and I'm like, my call isn't on there.
That always, yeah,
it's just weird.
Strange.
I don't get it, and I don't know if it's because I called non-emergency or so it doesn't capture all of it.
Right. Which makes it hard, but I like that they're doing it by location rather than just by like district.
Yes.
That's new. That's pretty new.
So, yeah, it's new. It's in like the last couple months, so that's been helpful. And then you can see like in the last hour all the calls going down.
Okay, cool.
And you can scroll through, and that one's in the corner. You can click on the map, or you can just look at the current incidents floating in the last couple of hours. It's really quite interesting.
Yeah, they roll out all these new features, and you got to just find them, I guess.
Yeah, you do. So luckily, I have Patty who finds everything. Nice. My right-hand woman there.
Cool.
And she, we do our own spreadsheets too, and our own documentation, because we find that not everything's captured.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we just track everything. We track all the RVs. I know every RV that pulls into Lents. We're on it.
Do you ever get people coming in, just other neighborhood advocates who want to talk to you about? Because I feel like you guys got a lot. You learned a lot.
Yes,
I
just met with a person from Foster Powell.
Okay.
They're having a lot of problems at their park, and wanting to know, how do I report this? And it's not necessarily homeless people, it's just transients or criminals, or how do we get this, how do we get help? They're feeling like there's inequity. Laurelhurst, I met with people from that neighborhood. Sunnyside. Laurelhurst, wealthy community, people are always like, that doesn't happen in Laurelhurst. It does.
Yeah, does it? Okay.
They have a terrible problem. They have ODOT to deal with.
Where?
They have I-84 running through, 33rd there, right in the heart of Laurelhurst. And they also have Laurelhurst Park, which has terrible camping issues. So, it's now there are parts of the city that see no camping. They don't, and that's what makes it hard, because there's so much inequity, and then you have people in these other parts of the city telling us we're bad people for not wanting it there. But if you had to live with all this stuff and not be able to sleep at night, and not be able to walk to the Mack Station or get your kid to school safely, or you wouldn't want that either,
Is it connected to services? Because I feel like
it is when
Lents?
They bring them out there.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So that's a big problem. But no, I think why Lents? I think it's, we have that area that I was showing you. It's sort of this perfect little area to camp in, because it's so multi-jurisdictional. And you're not going to see that in Montevilla. You're not going to see that. You have the MUP, but your MUP is a lot skinnier.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the wider camping spots and the more well-hidden spots. But we have portions that meet BDS, Springwater, parks, city, PBOT. So you have these jurisdictions where if they post one, you can just hop to the next.
Yeah.
And so they're not on the same page, and we have it's more hidden. It's on a max line. We have max stops. So we have TriMet is another jurisdiction. So that's unique in Lents. And we have the history of people being told, go there because the cops won't do anything. go there. We allowed spring water to happen here. We allowed a lot of this stuff to just sort of take place. And, you know, our community was very much a live and let live community, too. We didn't tell on people, you know. Brentwood, Darlington, too. You just didn't narc people out. And that sort of served us kind of well at the beginning, because I always felt sort of insulated. Like, yeah, we had tweakers and we had crime, but they were kind of not apt to come rip you off because they didn't know if you'd shoot them.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of tough people that lived in this neighborhood. Do you know what I mean? And there was sort of a code. And so you didn't feel like constantly like you were going to be ripped off. Now it was all these people that came from other places outside our neighborhood, and all the old-time homeless people will tell you that too. My can guy, Will, I've known him for years. He's like, this place is horrible because of all these people from, you know, he's had both his little bike things stolen. He sleeps on spring water. But he slept on spring water for 10 years, you know what I mean? So, and they were hidden and behind the bakery or wherever, and they didn't bug anybody, and we didn't report them.
Right, yeah.
And I told Dennis this when he popped back up in an RV and he was over by my house. I said, you need to go. And I said, you know, Dennis, if you went somewhere, and I told the Willamette Week guy, if you were in your RV and you parked in front of the school for 3 days, and then you went to your next location and you dumped your waste and you didn't throw your needles and you didn't sell stolen goods and act as a fence, people wouldn't call you in. But when you block the sidewalk and you host a garage sale of all the stolen items and your cars have no plates and you're throwing needles in the street and you have nowhere to use the bathroom, we're going to call you in.
Yeah.
And you're in front of some old lady's house and you're scaring the shit out of her. Yeah, we're going to call you in. So, I mean, so if people were like mellow about it, like, do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's not homelessness, it's more lawlessness.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're some like down on your luck person that is just like very respectful and, you know, I'm going to clean up and I'm going to take this down every day and I'm going to just put it up. We have a guy that sleeps in the park every night. He leaves during the day. We don't call him in to the rangers. He never causes a problem.
Yeah.
I have had people behind my house in an RV for 9 months. I didn't call them in. They were a couple. They would leave a few times a week to go dump it, to go take care of it. They were clean. They were respectful. The only problem when you allow that is it attracts other ones, and then the bad ones come. So we have a guy in our neighborhood. I don't know if I want you to. Don't use his name. All over once, and he is a big-time drug person fence, and he had an RV that he towed around that was full of bikes, and it kept getting tagged, and there was this other RV that was pretty darn nice that popped up a couple months ago, and the person in it tried to grab a child at Bloomington Park. It was in the paper, it was on Nextdoor. So the police were trying to serve this person with a warrant because it was wanted. But every time they would knock, no one would answer. So, and they won't tow it, or I don't know, whatever. But the police finally got the guy out of there. It took like a month of all the neighbors going, he's on my street now, oh my God, why aren't you doing anything? And some vigilante neighbor, smashed every window out of that RV. And they finally got rid of the guy. And, you know, he will park, and pretty soon droves of people, like he'll park in front of Fred Meyer, and you can just watch him for 5 minutes. Boosters go in, they're stealing like a comforter and walking out of Fred Meyer, and hand it to him. He hands them money or drugs or whatever. The thing's piled with Fred Meyer goods. And he was been at the park all weekend. So we have those type of people, and it's not homelessness. It's lawlessness.
Yeah.
It's criminals, and it's people using the guise of homelessness to commit crimes, knowing the cops aren't going to really do much. And it's maddening. You're like, where are the cops? Where on earth would they let this go on except here?
Yeah.
You know, where I grew up, you you kind of feared like getting pulled over, or if you had no license plates, you know, even in Vancouver. And that's the other thing. Most of the RVs are from Washington because they can't do it there.
Yeah.
So, as Andy said, the guy that was in our town hall video, is sort of my person on the streets. These people aren't from around here.
So they're towing these RVs from Vancouver?
Well, yeah, they're from Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, because they can't camp there, or they'll tow you there.
Yeah, Vancouver's.
Yeah, I work there, so you just don't see any of the stuff over there. And sometimes I think, why don't I just live there? My life would be so much easier and calmer to not have to wake up every day and have to deal with.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean,
it's a ton of work.
How much time do you log your time, or do you?
There's been times where it's been like another full-time job.
Yeah.
It's less so. I'm really trying to have more of a balance in my life.
Yeah.